Blog Talk Radio.
Guys, God bless you guys. Welcome to This Is It Before the Fire. Try your chat room right now. Again, anyone that's having trouble, we're going to do some a little technical stuff here to begin the program. There was a delay in getting the chat room open. There was a delay in getting the show started. So let's make sure everything's up and running, okay, before we get going. Let's see. On Blog Talk, I have no chat room open. Weird, me either. Try the chat room again on Blog Talk. Okay, there we go. Yeah, chat is open on Blog Talk. That's pilot error. Sorry, guys, that's me. I'm just trying to manage a few too many things at once. Anyway, I'm going to give everybody a moment to get logged in. I'm going to play another song. Guys, get ready because here we go again. Tonight, I'm just going to give you guys more witness of the Spirit. God's timing. This is just mind-blowing. Hey, Greg, Mohican, I see you in there, Greg. You'll probably really like this. It's a timing thing. It's always a timing thing with God. Joseph Daniels, I talked to today. It's very, very, very wild because the timing issue once again is unbelievable, and the message is clear. And it's difficult for me sometimes, guys, to continually stand on faith, saying what I'm saying. I mean, this New York thing has kind of got me. Well, honestly, it's all the cards on the table type deal. It's the whole thing. I mean, this can't go on forever. It certainly can't go on a whole lot longer. So I'm literally, kind of on the edge of my seat myself, but I have to continue giving a clear testimony, because if I don't, then it shows a complete lack of faith. And given the position that God's put me in, I have to do it. So anyway, tonight's going to be a mind blower. It's going to be as big a mind blower as the night that I showed you guys. The Lord told me, to look up, where I launched my sunglass company, and it was in Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen, and look up the place you were born, and it was Frankfurt am Main. They call it Manhattan. The Germans call it Manhattan. All the synchronicities are so impossible. It's just unbelievable. Well, tonight is going to be the same thing, and there are some scriptures that are very poignant. I couldn't schedule the show tonight, and like I said, I'm going to give you guys a chance to get logged in and stuff. I'm going to play one more song so I can get all my notes together, but I'm not going to stop saying right now what I'm saying, just to kind of wrap it up. And then, like I said, I'm going to play one more song so I can pray and get it together. But the show would not schedule a show tonight. And I could not figure it out. I was like, what is wrong with this thing? And sometimes if you don't completely fill out all the fields, in any document on the web, you notice how it'll come up in red. It'll say, you have to put your address in, or, you have to put the show time in, or, you have to put in this, or you have to put in that. But it'll give you the letters in red. That's very common. And that's what Blog Talk does. If you forget something, it gives you a little prompt and says, hey, you know what? You forgot something. So you need to fill out this field, and tells you what to do. Well, tonight it was not doing that. It didn't do that. It was just not accepting the program, and I couldn't figure it out. So I tried to program the show or schedule it about 7 times, and it would not accept the scheduling. Therefore, I thought maybe there was a problem with the monthly payment for Blog Talk Radio, and because the account that the money comes out of is kind of low, and I thought, well, maybe the Blog Talk payment didn't clear, and even though it's only $39. I even went and checked on it, and it had cleared. So I was really, 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 really stumped about why I couldn't schedule a show, and then I'm thinking, well, the powers that be, are they trying to stop the show? What's up? And then I usually put about a paragraph of scripture into the show notes, into the episode info. If y'all check out the episode info, it usually always has quite a bit of scripture in it. And so the episode info, I decided just to start trying it over again, and it would not accept the programming. It still wouldn't accept it. So finally I just said, you know what? I'm just going to highlight one sentence out of Bible Gateway, just one sentence. Listen up. And then it accepted the programming. Then it scheduled the entire show, and I was like, what in the world is the deal? Now, am I telling you that, it only did that because this is what God's trying to tell us? Not really. Do I find it really bizarre? Absolutely. Let me read to you what that one sentence was. Well, you know what? Before I read to you that one sentence, well, it's already Mark Paputti put in there. But do y'all remember a year ago in October? Do y'all remember the radio show that began this whole year-long intensive bell ringing, supernatural information on a daily basis? Do y'all remember the very program that started the whole thing? I wonder if anybody remembers where it all started. It started with one of our brothers, Mark Paputti got it right, adoption. It started with Billy Lojak, and Billy Lojak brought up this adoption thing, that it was harder to disinherit an adoptive kid than it is a natural born kid. And it started with this whole adoption, program. I find that interesting. Am I saying that means, something's got to happen right this second? No, but I find it extremely bizarre that the one program that I literally cannot schedule, it will not take the scheduling until I put only one sentence into Blog Talk. Let me read you that sentence. It says, but when the set time had fully come, God sent his son. So that's the coming of Christ, guys. Now, here's what's really weird. I had already filled out the title of the show, and the title of the show is called The Appointed Time is Always on Time. That was the title of the show. I was trying to put in the appointed times, and this is the only sentence that it would accept to schedule the show. But when the set time had fully come, God sent his son. Doesn't that lead you to believe that it's almost like the Lord saying, wow, the time has come? That's where my heart goes. That's what's in my spirit. And it says, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Okay, so I'm just telling you, I find that really kind of bizarre that it would not schedule this program unless I deleted an entire paragraph and I only put in one sentence. Then it accepted it. I find that strange. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this one song. I'm going to get my show notes together because we've got some stuff to talk about. For those of y'all that like, you know how God reveals supernatural information through this program? You know how he'll show us the meaning of Ebola? Ebola comes from Zaire, Africa. The Lord told me to look up the meaning of Zaire. It's the origin of the word Zaire is Zahir, which is Aramaic, and it also is in Hebrew. And the word Zahir is the exoteric meaning of the Quran. You know how the Lord uncovers stuff that's just mind-boggling and it means something supernatural? Well, if you want to look up something supernatural while this song is playing, look up what a yew tree is. Does anybody know what a yew tree is? Y-E-W. Has anyone even ever heard of a yew tree? Y-E-W. I have a background in science, guys. I took a lot of biology. A lot. I can still go through, the plant and animal kingdom. It's kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, common name. I mean, that stuff is ingrained into my brain from college. Like kingdom, plant or animal, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, common name. I mean, I'm pretty good at my biology and stuff. Probably one of the programs I really only watch very often on TV is, educational. I watch, Discovery and stuff like that. Has anyone ever heard of a yew tree? Does anyone know what a yew tree is? Hey, Greg up there in Canada. Greg, do you know what a yew tree is? Have you ever heard of it? Heard of it? Do you know what it is off the top of your head? Garden 1862 says yes. Taxus baccata is a conifer. There you go. It's a conifer. Y'all know what conifers are? Anyone know what a conifer is? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. What I'm going to do, what I want you to do while this song is playing, I want you to open your radio show notes. I want you to open up the link that says the U Sacred Tree of Transformation and Rebirth. Okay, I want you to open up that link, and I want you to go. Oh no, it didn't open for me. Oh, rats. Hang on one sec. Oh, it's not opening. Hey, Dave, the way that link for all this stuff is nothing's coming up on the thing for Todd whenever I'm clicking on any of it. It doesn't seem to be. Let me see. Yvonne came up. Yvette came up. But I'm having trouble with the other links. Maybe you can try those links and see if we can get those links working, or see maybe if they got copied wrong in there. Oh, here we go. History of the Christmas tree. Hang on one sec, folks, because this is kind of amazing. Yeah, the U tree is not found. Todd, I see that you're in the chat room. I'm already having some issues. It opened for me, all for me. Did it open for you guys? I'm going to refresh my link, Dave, and let me see if I can get this stuff to open up. The U Sacred Tree of Transformation and Rebirth. Let me just see if that'll open up. I have it. I should have it also in an email. No, it's. I'm getting an error message. Let me check I'm going to check the chat room. No audio at all for me, Doc Miller. Okay, let me ask you guys this question. Are y'all able to get the U tree open? Yeah, Dave. I need other guests to participate in this. I need everybody to participate. Yeah, so Greg says it won't open. Okay, Dave, we're having some problems with the link, and that's okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play a song, and I'm gonna go try and pull some stuff up another direction. Dave, you try and work on it from your end, and I will see what I can do over here on my end. This is really amazing stuff. So here you go. Dave put a link in the chat room, but the link's not active. Hang on. Okay, there you go. Okay, there's a link in the chat room. Y'all grab it. Mark Papetti put it in there. It's really quite fascinating. If y'all want to take, I'm just going to read you very quickly. The U is a sacred to Hecate and the crone aspect of the triple goddess. Both are guardians of the underworld, death, and the afterlife. A lot of our ancient U's are found in churchyards, but there's no doubt that they were here before the churches were built. So many churches and churchyards once stood in a circle of U's. Okay, so as you read about the yew tree, you'll find out that it's an ancient tree, very ancient, and it is synonymous with, regeneration, everlasting life, immortality, renewal, rebirth, transformation, and access, listen to this, and access to the other world and our ancestors. When you realize that the yew tree is a very ancient tree, it's a conifer, and if y'all know what a conifer is, a Christmas tree is also a conifer. Jack, listen, Jackie and everybody in the chat room, listen. Mark Paputti will put a link in the chat room one more time. Get the link out of the chat room, not off the show note links. Okay? It's not a video. It's in the chat room right now. Get the link now. Click on the link. It's not a video. It's just an article about the yew tree. I want to make a point with this because all roads lead to New York right now, and I want to show you, I want to give you the groundwork to understand what's about to get dumped on you, because what's going to get dumped on you tonight is going to be overwhelming. You're going to overload, I guarantee it. But I want you to read it for yourself. I want you to see that the yew tree, it says, that it survived since before the Ice Age, and as such has been revered and used by humankind throughout the ages. All races of the northern hemisphere, especially the Celts and the Greeks and the Romans, North American Indians, have a right and powerful understanding of this unusual and remarkable tree. Well, as you read about it, you'll find out that, it is associated with immortality, renewal, regeneration, everlasting life, rebirth, transformation, and access to the other world and to our ancestors. I want you to just start thinking fallen angels breeding with humans now, and I want you to start thinking Christmas that's coming, and I want you to think conifer. Okay, so the origin of the yew tree goes way, 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 way back. Okay, do you understand? It goes way, way back. And if you're thinking fallen angels breeding with humans, using humans as a host body for the regeneration of their race of beings and everlasting life, because they always have a host body to inhabit, just keep that in mind, because tonight's going to blow your socks off on the revelation of what's coming to you. Okay, let's go ahead and pray. I'm going to skip the extra song. We've already taken enough time. Okay, in the name of the Lord Jesus, Heavenly Father, God, Father, I just thank you with all my heart for the revelation and for the constant ongoing communication. I pray that you'll just edify all of us and keep us all ready, ever ready, that your arrival is imminent. It's any moment. So, Father, please keep us on the edge of our seats and edify us. And remember Romans or Hebrews 6, do not fall away. Now is the time to stay in our seats and be looking up at you and not looking to the left or to the right, not looking at the distractions, but keeping our eyes directly focused on Jesus and the coming of Christ. Amen. Okay, guys, so here we go. Listen up. So, now that I've talked to you about the yew tree, I'm going to switch gears very quickly, and I'm going to talk to you very quickly about the night this radio program started. I told you guys, the Lord told me, name it before the fire, and I sat there with Clay, and the Lord told me these things that would happen. Everything happened. Does everybody know that the first caller on this program, the very first night of this program, her name was Yvonne, and her last name is Hughes, and her married name is Orr. Okay, well, listen very closely. This is very strange. Yvonne's last name, Hughes, means son of fire. So the very first night on the program being named Before the Fire, the first caller out of a call doc full of people, her last name means son of fire. Okay, that's impossible, guys. That's the Lord. Her married name, or it means divine light of God or spark of God, like fire of God. Okay, well, listen to this. I told you there's a very strange thing going on around right now, and this Christmas season is just looking very auspicious for maybe, this might be it. The Lord keeps showing me nukes, New York. It's about to happen. It's coming. Be ready. Be prayed up. Don't drop your guard. don't slip off into any sin. Let me read to you very quickly, Ephesians 5. Dear brothers, but among you there must not even be a hint of sexual immorality or any kind of impurity or greed, because these are improper for God's holy people, nor should there be obscenity, foolish talk, or coarse jesting, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. For this you can be sure, no moral, impure, or greedy person, such a person is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of God in Christ. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of such things God's wrath comes upon those who are disobedient. Therefore, do not be partners with them, for you were once in darkness, but now you are children of the light in the Lord. Live as children of the light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Okay, so here we go. I just want to throw that in there so you remember what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to stay focused, stay in our seats, keeping our eyes on Christ. Now, you either believe or you don't believe this. You either believe that this ministry was ordained by the Lord God himself, or you don't. If you do, you're probably here and you probably listen in. Some people don't log into the chat room. It doesn't really matter. But if you believe that this ministry was set up by God, you probably listen. Doesn't mean that you don't take a break. It just means you're probably thinking, you know what? There's something very strange that does go on at Before the Fire, because I've seen it. I've experienced it. The very first night, the very first phone caller with a call doc full of people, the night Jonathan said, hey, the Lord said, name it Before the Fire. At the end of the show, the very first caller was named Yvonne, son of fire, or child of fire. That's pretty weird. You got to admit it. Okay, well, let me show you something that's even weirder. Does anybody remember the last person that called into this program and gave their life to Christ? Does anybody remember the person's first name? Anybody? Does anybody remember who the last person was to publicly confess Christ? Yvette. So the first person that called in was Yvonne, and Yvette was the last person that called in. And, she was very humble and accepted Christ over the radio. She confessed her sins and accepted Christ. Very sweet girl. It was very moving. I think y'all remember it. She was in tears. Y'all remember? Yeah. I think Yvette was probably the last person that called in and gave a testimony and gave her life to Christ. Okay, so now I want you to consider this. The name of this program is called Before the Fire. The very first caller's name was Yvonne, and Hughes means son of fire, child of fire, and her married last name means divine spark of God. That's very odd. You got to admit that's very odd. Well, let me show you something even more odd. The name Yvonne is a French name. This is in your show notes. You can look this up. It says Yvonne, baby name meaning Yvette, baby name means, this is very odd that this happened. The name Yvonne, it means you, Y-E-W, archer. It means you and it means archer. Well, I just showed you what a yew tree is. Did you know a yew tree is also synonymous with a Christmas tree? Because a Christmas tree is a conifer. Well, a yew tree is one of the oldest conifers there is. And why do you think we all sit around in the living room in front of a yew tree at Christmas? Well, because the enemy has appropriated it as a symbol for who they are, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, a yew tree. It signifies, everlasting life, the underworld, the afterlife. It signifies all the things that the fallen angels stand for themselves. It's in the shape of a pyramid. The ones we have now are. They used to bring the Yule log into the house. They used to hang it upside down from the ceiling. And it used to get burned. Think about that for a second. Just mull that over in your brain with all the other information you have from this ministry. Just consider it. Now I want you to consider that the very first caller, Yvonne, her first name means you, like the call you tree. It means archer. It also means child of fire. She's a girl, so son of fire, daughter of fire. It means child of fire. That's her last name, Hughes. Well, check this out. The last person that called out and gave a heartfelt testimony and accepted Christ was Yvonne. Well, let's look at Yvonne's name. Yvonne's name means you, Y-E-W. Now, does that mean that Yvonne and Yvette are the first and the last callers that are going to ever call this show and give their lives to Christ? I don't know. But I find it really odd that we are in this Christmas season, that the Lord keeps showing me, hey, this new thing is coming. He's proven it on so many fronts, it's ridiculous. But it takes total faith to keep saying it. I'm telling you guys, it is tough to come here every night and keep saying it. I'm not lying. It's tough. But God's timing is always impeccable. Now, let me tell you something. Tonight, I had already decided what I was going to do for the show notes or for the show title, because Joseph Daniels, you know, Joseph, brother Joseph, who called in a couple of weeks ago. He had lost his job. He was pretty upset. I talked to Joseph today. Joseph sent me an email on December 8th. And on December 8th, you know, I get a lot of emails, guys. And if I don't look at the email that day, it gets lost sometimes in a barrage of emails. And sometimes I don't go back to the day before and look, and once it gets 3 or 4 days back, it's pretty much gone. I'm just being honest. I don't always get to that stuff. Just depends. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think that the Lord God might make sure that I miss an email in order to have me read it at a later day? Do you think that's a way that the Lord works? Do you think maybe the Lord thought, you know what? There's an email that Jonathan could really use, but I'm going to have him miss it because I'm going to have him see it on a date where it's more poignant, where it really makes an impact. Well, I'll tell you what, the way I look at it is this. If the Lord God can tell me to put on all black clothes, to get in a car and start driving towards New York, and tell me to tell the person I'm with to put on all black clothes, and then say, get in the car and start driving towards Manhattan now, and he has me put on all black clothes and has my partner Lou put on all black clothes, and he can take me to a trip to jail in Columbus, Texas. First, I get pulled over in Weimar, Texas. They take me to Columbus, Texas, and they put me in jail when I don't even have a reason to be in jail because their records were incorrect. And then I can meet a guy in jail that tells me to go to a place called This Is It. So when I walk in the door of This Is It, I'm wearing all black, and Lou's wearing all black, and everybody in the place is all black, and it's soul food. Well, if God can orchestrate that, can God make sure I missed an email in order to make it more poignant today than it would have been on December 8th? Well, my answer is a resounding absolutely no problem for God. Well, that's going to bring me to the point tonight, because I'm going to give a testimony, and I'm also going to give you guys some scripture, but I've noticed something that's manifesting, and it's very just bizarre. You know, I told you guys I like to watch Nat Geo Wild, right? I mean, you know what I do after the program? You know, y'all know what I do when this program's over. I go hang out with Trinity for a little while before bed so we can have a little time together. And then when Trinity goes to bed, I turn on National Geographic. That's what I typically do. And I like to watch nature because it's real. It's not people acting. It's not, it's not entertainment. I like to watch life, you know what I mean? And it's kind of cool. I get to see some amazing things about life. Islands I'd like to go to, animals I'd like to see. I'm always astounded by God's creation and the function of certain animals that I've never seen before. I just find it fascinating. That's what I do. So, that's kind of my thing. Well, even on Nat Geo Wild, I noticed how Satan's influence is everywhere. Can you believe Nat Geo Wild? It's kind of a stretch, right? I can see how someone listening to this radio program might be going, man, maybe Jonathan's kind of gone off the deep end. Well, you know what? I almost wish I had gone off the deep end because it would make it easier almost. But when you see this paradigm of the right side up, upside down thing manifesting in little children, you see it manifesting on billboards, you see it manifesting as all the new lines of clothing that are coming out. You see it when you walk into the mall, all the models are winking their eyes. They have one eye covered with their hair, and their eye that's covered with their hair makes a pyramid with the straight line of their hair. I see this stuff everywhere. Cartoons are a foregone conclusion. Cartoons is where they start with the kids. If you really want to see disturbing stuff, go watch cartoons. So anyway, I want you guys to take a little look at something. And then I'm going to get into God's appointed times, okay? Because I believe with all my heart that the appointed time is imminent. It's any moment. It could be, again, tonight before this program ends. It may not be tonight. It may be tomorrow, the next day. It may be in a week. It may be, I don't know. It may be in 2 weeks. I don't know. I hope it's not very long at all because I will probably be a drooling basket case if it's too long because it's very difficult for me to continue knowing what's coming without it actually getting here. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, how many days can I see this until it happens? It's got to come. It must come. So that's a very difficult position to live in, and that's where I live. Okay, so I literally live in that on a 24/7 basis. But because I got saved the way I got saved, and because I've gotten to see the miracles I've gotten to see, that's the only reason I'm able to continually come on this radio program and tell you guys, watch this. This is going to drop your jaw. And by the way, watch this, guys. It's going to drop your jaw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to watch this little video clip, and I want to show you how it's manifesting in. I want to show you how it's manifesting even on previews for Nat Geo Wild. And then while you're watching that, I'm going to have a song playing. And I'm going to come back after that song, and I'm going to get into this thing because it's going to blow your mind. Okay, so remember Yvonne and Yvette, both their names mean yew, like yew tree. Well, Christmas is here, and Christmas is all about the yew tree. But I want you guys to look at what says the Kleck video clip. And, like I said, I just went in and I sat down to watch Nat Geo Wild. And this is how they're advertising one of the new Nat Geo Wild programs. Watch the Kleck video clip. And while you're watching that, I'm going to put a song on. And I'll be back in about 3 minutes. And get ready because just like the song I'm about to play says, no one knows when the time is. But you know the time's coming. So listen to the song too.
Is about to give. I can feel it coming. I think I know what underground, rooftop to the basement, the last of the rock stars. When hip-hop drove the big cars, in the time when new media was the big idea, that was the big idea.
Okay, now here we go. Now I'm gonna try and make, you know, a comparison. Okay, so I want you guys to think about this for a second. Just consider this. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it's been shown to me. If it hadn't have come right in front of me, and you know, there's all these variety of ways that things happen. You know, whether or not, you know, the Lord supernaturally moves someone to look something up, or whether or not, you know, Todd looks up something, or Kat, or the Lord tells me, Jonathan, look up the place of your birth. It's very significant. Whatever the avenue is, it doesn't matter. Have you noticed that all those avenues pan out to be something supernatural? Have y'all ever noticed that? Haven't you noticed that when we start talking about, you know, these names of places and stuff like that, how bizarre that everything is significant? Well, tonight's going to be very, very mind-boggling because I told you the name Yvonne was the first caller. It means you, like the yew tree. It means child of fire. So if you put the two together, and it means you and it means archer. So I want you to think about that. Yew, which is a yew tree, which is a conifer, like a Christmas tree, child of fire. Okay, Yvette's name means you. Well, I think that's kind of interesting. That was the first and the last caller so far. It doesn't mean someone won't call up tonight and give their life to Christ. But for tonight, I think it's kind of odd, just by virtue of the fact that someone, like Todd, was led just to look up the meaning of Yvonne and Yvette. Well, I looked up the name Or, and it means divine spark of God, and Hughes means son or child of fire. I think that's fascinating. I think it's impossible, and it's fascinating. So now we have this connection with you and you, but what does that have to do with anything? Because these are just two people that called into the program, right? So it's still kind of nebulous what I'm talking about to you. So right now we haven't drawn any conclusions. It's just like well, you know, it would be kind of interesting if something happened over the Christmas season, because the Christmas season is centered around the yew tree. But am I trying to make that stretch? Well, maybe, and maybe you'll see why in just a minute. Because that's a really long stretch to try and make, guys. I mean, that's stretching it. But when I tell you this next thing, you're going to go, oh my goodness. Because all of a sudden the stretch is not going to be a stretch. Okay, Dave, you're going to have to plug the link in to the meaning of New York, because it's not working in the show notes. It's not working in the show notes, so I had to pull it up via Todd's email, Dave Shadow. So if you can put in the meaning of York. I want to read to you something. I told you guys the Lord keeps showing me New York, right? That the $10 bill that shows New York being nuked in a tidal wave. Remember the $10 bill? It shows New York being nuked in a tidal wave covering a 7-story building. The $100 bill's got a bell on it, and the bell is a hologram. So as you move the bell around, the bell rings, and it shows New York being destroyed by water. Well, you want to hear something really weird? Look up York name meanings. Doc Miller just put it in. Let me make sure it's the same one. York. I'm going to read to you the meaning of York. like New York, The name York is a Celtic baby name, Celtic. The meaning of the name York is yew tree. Oh my gosh. What? Ha! Did y'all hear me? The meaning of York is yew tree. Did you know New York has the biggest yew tree in the entire world at the Rockefeller Center? I wonder what the odds are on that. Try and wrap your brain around that. That the first caller at the program called Before the Fire, her name is yew tree, child of fire. Huh, that's weird. The last caller that called and gave a testimony was Yvette. Her name means yew tree, and I haven't gotten into the last name. I didn't look it up. But New York, where the $10 bill shows New York being destroyed by fire on the $10 bill and the $100 bill, and it shows tidal wave, shows nuclear explosion. It happens to mean yew tree. I wonder what the odds are that Obama said, in my first term, I won the war on terror. My second term, I'll win the war on Christmas. Christmas is all about the yew tree. That's what it's all about, the whole thing. Am I saying something has to happen over the Christmas holidays? No, but I'll tell you what. I would literally be in mouth hanging open, drool coming down of my mouth, stupefaction if nothing happens anytime soon. I'd be shocked. Would I be able to keep going? I don't know. I'm being totally honest. I don't know if I would be able to continue, because this is stacking up to be so incredible on timing and everything that it's beyond bizarre, guys. It's just really freaky stuff. So, the name York means yew tree. The name Yvonne means yew tree. The name Yvette means yew tree. So New York means, it can be the new yew tree. Well, if that's where they're going to implement, if that's where the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the bad guys, if that's going to be their flashpoint for the New World Order, and they got to get the whole thing going, chaos and confusion, well, wouldn't it make sense to do it in a place that means the new yew tree? The new, the Yuletide. Hey, there you go, Yuletide. How about that? Todd wrote in the chat room, Yuletide, YEW-L tide. Isn't that fascinating? Well, let me tell you something just in my perception that's really fascinating. Did you guys see, does anybody understand the significance that Nat Geo Wild did a commercial for a new series that's coming on Nat Geo Wild? Did y'all catch what the meaning was? That how they use the animals to convey the message of the new race of beings? Did y'all see that? Anybody in the chat room want to comment on that? Did y'all see that their commercial, they said it's the time for the new generation, and as soon as in the Nat Geo Wild commercial, as soon as they said it's time for the new generation, what was on your screen? Did you see it? Did y'all catch it? Did you see what happened on the screen? They had an animal, some little, animal that I'm not familiar with, that's, probably from, Madagascar or somewhere like that. The little animal turned its head completely upside down. Go watch it again. It's only about 15 seconds. Go watch the little commercial that's in the show note links. It's a little marsupial that turns its head completely upside down, and it says it's time for the new generation. Did y'all know that this year they're selling Christmas trees? Listen, you can't make this stuff up. If Cat's in the chat room, or Cat's in the chat room, Cat can give you a link. I've seen other places besides Cat showing this. They're selling Christmas trees this year that you can buy on a stand, and the tree is upside down. Have y'all ever seen a Christmas tree that's for sale where it's upside down? Have y'all ever seen that? I've never. I knew that the Yule log, the yew tree, was brought into the house, and they used to hang it from the ceiling, upside down. Does that remind you of anything? So this whole paradigm that I've been commissioned by the Lord God to share with everybody, it's always about the upside down thing. That's what it's always about. Well, if they're celebrating Christmas this year, and Walmart, listen to this, Walmart is carrying Christmas trees that you put on a stand, but the tree is upside down. Does that seem to convey some kind of a message to you, maybe? Do you think they're trying to tell everybody maybe that this is the Christmas that everything gets flipped upside down? I don't know. A girl on the news sent a picture of her and her upside down tree. That's what Saved by 555 wrote in the chat room. And this is really odd because, that's how this started with Todd. I sent Todd a picture of the yew upside down, tree. Don't you find this all strange? Don't you think it's all very odd? I do. I think it's really odd. But now I'm going to get into what's really odd. I haven't even given y'all a testimony yet over the weekend, and so now it's time for me to testify. A testimony is the same as if you got on a stand in a court of law and the lawyer said, "Do you so solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God?" And the witness is supposed to say, "I do." By the way, it's a trap by the devil. You're never supposed to take an oath like that. When I go to court, what I do is I say, I affirm that what I say is true, because we're never supposed to take an oath. It says anything more than your yes or no is from the devil. So that's the devil's courtroom, and the devil's trying to trap you. So when they ask that, you can simply say, I affirm that what I say is true. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Okay, so here we go. This is really, really interesting. So I told you guys that I struggle with coming on the radio and saying, guys, the Lord keeps telling me New York's about to get nuked. That's hard to do. It's really difficult. Even though he showed me Manhattan, he told me, look at the place of your birth. It's significant. Frankfurt am Main, the Germans call Frankfurt am Main, they call it Manhattan because it looks like Manhattan. I'm telling you, wow, the Lord keeps showing me New York's going to get nuked. And he tells me, look at where your sunglass company was birthed. It was birthed in Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen, right on the shores of New York. I mean, it's like off the hook. The Lord showed me so much confirmation that this is going to happen. It's really it's hard not to believe it, but until it happens, it's kind of edgy. It's like, well, it's got to come, Well, does the Lord want me not to talk about it anymore? Or does the Lord want me to keep telling you the same thing over and over and over again? Well, my answer is the Lord wants me to tell you the same thing over and over and over, because he keeps showing me the same thing over and over and over again And he keeps doing it in a way that's supernatural. And for me not to say anything would to be showing a great lack of faith. So therefore, I must give you a testimony. Y'all ready for the testimony for the weekend? Okay, well, the very night that I'm sitting here praying and telling the Lord, hey, you know what, Lord, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because, all last week you showed me New York's about to go up in flames like a Christmas tree, and, nothing's happened yet, but I understand that, nothing may happen for, a while, but I just said, Lord, I need you to continually edify me. I need you to continually show me that something's going to happen in New York. Otherwise, I don't think I can put my head down and go to sleep tonight unless I hear from you. That's what I said. And then, in order to state my case when I was praying to God, I don't know if y'all do this, but sometimes I do this. I feel like I have to remind God that I've been faithful. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, right? And I'll say, Lord, and I'm just going to say it like I say it. I'm just going to give you a testimony. I sat here and I said, Lord, I've been so willing to do what you want. I'm totally willing, Lord. So, since I'm so willing, don't you think you should, make sure that I can go to sleep tonight? Don't you think that's fair? Since I'm so willing to tell everybody what you're showing me, don't you think it's fair that, you show me that New York's about to get nuked? Again, just so I know in my heart of hearts before I go to bed tonight, because, I'm totally willing to tell everybody. So it seems like you should be willing to show me again, right? It's almost kind of like pleading with God when you really don't have to, but I do it anyway. I don't know why. It's my personality maybe. Because I know God doesn't have to tell me anything if he doesn't want to. But I feel compelled just to kind of remind God that I'm a little scared because I keep walking further and further out onto a limb. And I'm like, how far out on the limb I am, right, God? Right. It's kind of sad, right? Even though he's shown me so many things. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys can understand the psychological element in what I'm telling you, It's natural, I think, even though he's shown me so much stuff. So anyway, so that's what I did. I said, Lord, don't you think it's fair just because I've been so willing, I've walked out on this limb as far as I can, Lord. But if I'm going to go to bed tonight and I don't hear from you, I don't know if I can go to sleep. That's what I said. And so at the same time I'm saying all that, Todd happens to be at a production with his son. It's the Marvel, it's like Comic-Con, where all these guys dress up as comic book heroes like Spider-Man, the Hulk, the Green Goblin, and they have a big stage. And everybody on the stage, some of them are riding motorcycles and, they're doing acrobatics with guy wires attached to their bodies. So while I'm sitting there imploring God, saying, hey, would you help me out? While I'm imploring God to tell me that, yeah, Manhattan's going to get nuked, and I'm saying, I've been so willing, please show me again. Todd's at the Comic-Con thing with his kid, and he's watching a big production on a stage at the same time. This is very significant because God's timing is always impeccable, guys. So here it is. You ready? So let's get to it. Let's see what it is. So here's my testimony. So I'm sitting there saying, Lord, I don't know how you can show me just to convince me again that, New York's going to get nuked and that, I'm being faithful and because I'm willing to do whatever you tell me, as long as I know that it's coming from you. So I'm sitting here at my desk and I hear the Lord just say, I'll show you. If you need to see it, read it. And so I open up a book, and if you look at your show note link, you'll see 3 pages that were photographed out of a thesaurus. And, some people may say, Jonathan, that's kind of weird. You do that a lot. I do. I do it a lot. You know why? because I've seen God do such supernatural things when I have the faith to do it. And I'm just going to give you a quick testimony. A woman came over to my house with her 2 daughters who I know, and this woman said, Jonathan, I was thinking about getting divorced from my husband. And I said, well, wait a minute, the Bible is really clear about that. And this woman says, but Jonathan, my daughter says she's seen you ask God a question directly, and that you had the faith to open a book and the Lord gave you a perfect answer. And I told this lady, I said, yes, that's true, but the Bible is very clear about, divorce. And unless your husband's been unfaithful and fornicated, you don't really have a leg to stand on. And this lady said in front of her 2 daughters, would you ask God anyway? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what a horrible position for this woman to put me in. And so I just went, you know what, God, you're God. So, Lord, in the name of Jesus, I already told her the Bible's the authority on what to do about her wanting to get a divorce. But, Lord, should she stay married or should she get divorced? God is my witness. This is my testimony in front of everybody. I opened up an 800,000-word book, and both pages said married. Not just one, but both. As a matter of fact, to see the word divorce, you would have had to flip the page in order to see the word divorce. Usually in a thesaurus, you'll see one word on one page and another word that's usually its opposite on the opposing page. But on this particular instance, I saw the Lord slam dunk this woman who was trying to use me to get a divorce. And God went, bam, and put her in her place. And I went, oh my gosh, it says married. Oh, wow, cool. Yay, praise God. I was like, yeah, the Bible's very clear. You can't get divorced unless your husband has been unfaithful, sexually immoral, da-da-da-da-da. And she was trying to get out of her marriage by being a little rat. And I come to find out that she was the problem. It wasn't her husband, because I did a job for this family, and I saw how the husband was, and I saw how she was, and you can tell every tree by its fruit. Now, here we go. Let's get back to trees. I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, is New York? What does New York mean? It means new yew tree. York means yew tree. So new means new. New yew tree. So I said, Lord, I've been very, willing to do what you asked. So would you please show me that New York's really going to get nuked again? So I opened up this book, and I want to read to you. It said willingness. That's what the page opened up to. It said willing-hearted, ready, agreeable, cooperative, acquiescent, ready and willing, zealous, quick, eager. So the Lord let me open up a page that showed the word willing-hearted first. That's a miracle. You know why? Because that is the ground that I stood on to tell or implore or entreat God, please tell me that New York's going to get nuked again. I've been so willing to do what you tell me. Shouldn't you throw me a bone and let me see it again? And that's exactly what he did. I opened up an 800,000-word book, and it said willing-hearted. And then I turned the page, and if you look on your show notes at the next page down, I'm casting a lot before the Lord. Just like the guy in the well. Someone help me out. My mind went, Gideon. Gideon threw out a fleece. Hey, Lord, I'll know what to do if there's dew on the fleece. So I'm throwing out my fleece in front of the Lord because I need to know for sure. So I open up this book again after seeing the word agreeable. And when I say again, I do mean the very next page. So the very first page said agreeable, cooperative. Like the Lord saying, yeah, you've been willing to do what I asked you to do. The very next word I open up to, it says atomic or thermonuclear attack. And I was like, wow, there it is. Okay. Boy, oh boy, when you want to tell me something, you make sure that I get the message, don't you? I was like, thank you so much, Lord. And then he shows me the very next word says 0 hour, H-hour D-Day. Well, I've seen that in the past month. I've seen that in the past 2 weeks. And I was like, wow. Willing-hearted, thermonuclear attack, 0 hour, New York. So now I'm putting it all together, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. Okay, y'all ready for the really weird stuff? Who's ready to hear the testimony now? Todd, are you still in the chat room? Are you still there, Todd? Would you want to call everybody and tell everybody what was going on at the Comic-Con production while I was sitting there asking the Lord to give me a word? I don't see Todd in the chat room anymore. But I'll tell you what, I'll look for 615 area code, Todd. And if you call in, I'd love to put you on and you can tell everybody. So anyway, so I've already got my answer from the Lord. The Lord already answered my question. And I'm like, okay, yeah, New York's about to get nuked. I told you Todd was at the Comic-Con with his kid. And it's a big production on stage. Well, here you go. Todd just called in. I'm going to put another witness on the stand, and I'm going to let Todd tell you what was happening with him at the very same time the Lord was telling me, you've been willing-hearted, thermonuclear attack, 0 hour. Now Todd calls me up and tells me about the Comic-Con. Todd, what's up?
Hey, brother.
Okay,
I've
I
had trouble
set it up
getting in
for
the
you.
chat room for some reason. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay?
that's all right. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Why don't you you heard everything I was saying, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so Todd's at the Comic-Con. It's a big production like a stage show. And Todd, why don't you just tell everybody what happened and what you saw and how it relates to this? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Saturday night, and I received some free tickets to take Joshua to a production of Marvel Universe Live, which was at the arena here in Nashville. So we went downtown. We walked across the bridge and downtown and went and ate at Luigi's Pizza, which is a New York-style pizza place. And I wasn't really, I don't know, my spiritual antenna really wasn't up just yet. But then all of a sudden I saw a wedding party, like a girl with a veil. It was a bride's bachelorette party at the table next to us. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I'm thinking, bride, wedding. I'm at Luigi's New York-style pizza. We leave there. We walk down Broadway to go to the arena. That's the main street that the arena's on. It's on Broadway Street. And as we were walking there, there was another couple that had a wedding gift in their hand standing on the corner. I don't know where they were going. So we get to the arena and we start watching the show. Now my spiritual antenna's way up. We're watching the show and it starts out in New York City. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. And as the show goes on, the story is just like stuff we talk about here where there's, half and half paradigm, DNA, this and that and the other. And it's, it's all the superheroes, Spider-Man and Thor and all these different ones. And so my son and I are watching it, and they're doing really cool stunts and things like this. But at one point, the main piece, the centerpiece of the stage, and this is inside of a hockey arena, basketball-style arena, the Statue of Liberty with the skyline of New York in the back. So I took a photograph because I was like, wow, this is crazy. Because all we've been, the whole night's kind of now had this New York theme to it. And anyway, Joshua had to go to the bathroom like most children at the most inopportune time. We were stuck in the middle of a row, and I was like, you sure you don't need to go before the show starts? No, I'm good. And then all of a sudden he's like, Daddy, I got to go. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll get out of here somehow. So we go to the restroom, and there's those advertisements in there, and I took a picture of this thing. But it happened twice at the most inopportune times that he had to go to the restroom, and both times at two different places within the restroom facility, I see a delicatessen called Noshville. Nosh is like to eat. So it's a play on words with Nashville, but it said New York style. I had the New York skyline. So here I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I got to I got to take a picture of that too. So I sent you those photographs, and that's how the timing worked out. I think afterwards, I was trying to text you while I was there, but you didn't understand what I was saying.
The only one that everybody's got in the chat room is the head coming down from the ceiling, winking.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's the most important one.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to get to.
Yep. So that one. So that picture, we've got the biggest final scene of this whole thing is set around New York City, and the Statue of Liberty is the centerpiece in the middle of the stage, and so there is a picture of that I took from the arena that's in the show notes.
Right, but what I'm trying to get to is during the show, y'all are watching the show. I'm praying about, is New York about to get nuked? And the Lord's showing me, yes, it's about to get nuked. And you're at a program that's whatever it is, it's a superhero thing. And while you're there, the head of the Statue of Liberty comes into the center of the stage, and what happens? I heard a guy say, evil is the new good. And then the statue.
Well, there was the Green Goblin character. All these characters. The whole final scene is basically in New York. That's the whole headquarters of the Avengers. That was what the show was about. And so at the very end, when the Green Goblin, which is a very demonic-looking green character, gets taken out by Spider-Man, he says, which is in a video clip on the show notes as well. It's a very short 7-second clip, 6 seconds, something like that. He says, I couldn't have done it without you, Lady Liberty, and then she winks her eye.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to tie this together with, because that's the thing that's most significant. Yeah, he was at New York Pizza. Yeah, it was on Broadway. So everything says New York. For Todd's evening out with his kid, everything says New York. He's in a New York style pizza. Okay, well, I'm not going to read anything into that. There's a lot of New York style pizzas. Well, he's on Broadway. Well, that's kind of weird because, yeah, Broadway's in New York, but there's a Broadway here in San Antonio. So I'm not going to overdo it on that either. However, he's sitting in a stadium watching a play that's got the skyline of New York City on it, and the head of the Statue of Liberty ends up being the entire focal point at the end of the play. And I heard in the video, someone said, evil has become the new good. And then what was the line right before the statue winked its eye?
Yeah, that was the Green Goblin that said that. And then Spider-Man says, Spider-Man says, I couldn't have done it without you, Lady Liberty. Thanks, something like that. Couldn't have done it without you, Lady Liberty. And then she winked. Right. And you hear a sound effect that goes with it.
Right. So then this giant head of the Statue of Liberty winks. And from the part of the video I saw, it looked like there was a lot of lights that looked like kind of a finale, like an explosion or fireworks. Or is that correct?
Yeah, there was a lot of fire, a lot of pyrotechnics and all that kind of stuff.
So that's the point I'm trying to drive at, is that while I'm praying about, is New York going to get nuked, Todd's at a play that has the head of the Statue of Liberty and the skyline of New York City as the focal point, and the Statue of Liberty winked its eye. Is that correct?
That is correct. And there is a link that Dave has for that one little 6-second clip where he says the thing about Lady Liberty, couldn't have done it without you, and then she winks her eye, which is under Marvel Universe Live at Tampa Bay Forum Part 2 of 2. It's the same show. It's the same show.
Right. Okay, well, so Todd went and got you guys a clip of it so you can see it for yourself. When Todd told me this, I almost didn't believe him. I was like, what? Shut up. No, there's no way. You're telling me a giant head of the Statue of Liberty came down in the center of the auditorium you were watching, and the Statue of Liberty winked its eye, and a bunch of pyrotechnics went off? No way. That's impossible. That's where I'm going with this. There is no way that at the same time I'm asking, is New York about to go, that anyone from our group would be at any program where the Statue of Liberty winked its eye and then a bunch of pyrotechnics went off? I got that right, Todd?
Yeah, the whole time there was pyrotechnics. It was nothing more than a war basically between superheroes and and other creatures and villains basically. So yeah,
right.
No,
so
you got that right.
So
right.
It's a fight between the good guys and the bad guys. It's set in downtown New York, the cityscape of New York, and then the Statue of Liberty comes down from the ceiling, the head of the Statue of Liberty, and it winks its eye, and then all these pyrotechnics go off. That's correct,
because they're actually having a battle within the Statue of Liberty's head on a spiral staircase. So in other words, like when you look at the picture of the head, it kind of becomes transparent. You can see inside of it. It's crazy. But yes, you got that right.
Yeah, it's probably just coincidence. Well, I'm glad. Thanks for letting me use you and put you on the witness stand because it's like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to say it because I want to make sure that this is right. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to give an incorrect testimony. But yeah, there you go, guys. That was Todd, Brother Todd, and that's what was going on. Okay, that's it, right?
Jesus is coming. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now I'm going to tie it all together with a nice, neat bow and hand it off to you guys. Thanks, Todd.
All right, love you guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, so here you go. So let's process this. Let's just do everybody put yourself in Jonathan Kleck's shoes for the weekend. Okay, so out of nowhere, because they're selling upside down Christmas trees this year. I mean, that's where this started. They're selling upside down Christmas trees this year on a stand. Because of that, I called Todd. I'm like, dude, check these out. They're selling upside down Christmas trees. And because of that, Todd somehow ends up on the yew tree. The yew tree happens to be like one of the oldest trees, from before the Ice Age, that is revered by, different cultures around the world, and it signifies rebirth, new life, afterlife, triple goddess, death. It represents all this stuff that the fallen angels are synonymous with. Does that make sense? The fallen angels are absolutely synonymous with the meaning of the yew tree. They are synonymous. It just so happens that we are in the season of the yew tree where everybody gathers around and, they worship a fat dude named Santa that's in a red suit. And if you reverse his letters around of his name, it's Satan. And there's a triangular shaped conifer tree, which is a yew tree. And everybody sits around and gives themselves gifts. It is a narcissistic way of worshiping the world. Okay, I'm just analyzing it. So let's analyze it. So the whole thing itself, its origin glorifies Satan and the fallen angels. That's what Christmas has turned into. And it represents all these things, rebirth, new beginnings, all that stuff. Well, this all was segued by me showing Todd an upside down Christmas tree. Next thing you know, we find out that Yvonne from England, who was the first caller at Before the Fire, her name means yew tree and child of fire. I think that's kind of weird, especially since the very first night of the show, the Lord said, hey, people are going to call and give their lives to me. I want you to name the program Before the Fire. And the first caller's name meant yew tree, child of fire. That's kind of weird. Okay, Yvette, her name means yew tree. She was the last person to call and get saved. That's kind of weird. Oh, New York means new yew tree. That's really weird. Okay, are y'all ready for really weird? Okay, let's kind of process this. Okay, so Jonathan's at home saying, hey, Lord, man, I've been a really faithful servant. I mean, come on. I'm kind of freaking out because, I've been totally willing to tell everybody what you told me. So, I'm kind of freaking out. I mean, really, New York's going to get it. It's coming right now, right? And the Lord shows me willing-hearted willingness, thermonuclear attack, and ground zero. Christmas at ground zero. Does that remind you of anything? And so now I'm sitting there going, wow, that is weird. And then Todd calls me up and says, dude, I just went to this program and it was so freaky. It was set with the skyline of New York, and the head of the Statue of Liberty came down from the ceiling and it winked, and pyrotechnics went off everywhere. Really? At the same time I was asking God, is New York about to get nuked? And all this stuff is happening at once. Well, that's really weird. Well, that night I went into the living room and Trent had a friend over. His friend had never seen the movie The Christmas Story. And so we put on The Christmas Story and they were watching it. And so I went out there and there was a scene where Ralphie's standing in line in front of the Christmas tree to see Santa. Are y'all listening? If you don't believe me, go look at this clip yourself. I think I'm predisposed to seeing this now, obviously. But I walk in there and they're watching, A Christmas Story. And Ralphie and his little brother are standing in line by a big Christmas tree to see Santa. And you know what Ralphie says? Ralphie's worried about getting his Red Ryder BB gun. And Ralphie says, this is it. It was ground zero. Because he knew Christmas was the next day. It was Christmas Eve. And Ralphie hasn't gotten his word in to get the Red Ryder BB gun. So Ralphie says, this is it. It's ground zero. I was like, you got to be kidding. Okay. Now I'm ready to drop the bomb on you guys. I was getting y'all ready for the bomb. I haven't even dropped the bomb yet. Y'all ready for the bomb? Oh, that's funny. I just looked up at my random image generator right now, and I told you I'm ready to drop the bomb. And guess what my random image is? It's a burning ball of fire incoming. I better photograph this. Maybe Dave, can you put this in the chat room? It's a timing thing, folks. I just said, go back and listen to the archive. I said I'm getting ready to drop the bomb, right? Dave, I'm going to send you a picture. Would you please put this in the chat room? Or put this in the show note links, because this just happened and it's really weird. Okay, so anyway, there's a big burning ball of fire streaking in, so I'm going to send that to Dave because it's always a timing thing. So I wonder what the odds are of that, right while I was saying that. Anyway, so here we go. So here we go, guys. So yeah, that just happened. I know, it's like so weird. So here we go. So Joseph Daniels contacted me today, and so I had to talk to him about something. And so Joseph said, Jonathan, dude, did you see the pictures I sent you? It was like a week ago. And I said, Joseph, I don't know. And I was just being honest. I said, I get a lot of emails, but I said, you know what? Yeah, I did see a picture of you and your daughter, and she had her tongue sticking out and she was upside down. And he goes, yeah, we were in section 322, which is the opposite. It's 223 backwards. And I was like, yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what significance he's trying to draw. And he says, well, Jonathan, did you see the other picture? Okay, get ready, guys. Here comes the bomb. Y'all ready? Go look at your show notes. And I said, no, what other picture? And that's why I believe that the Lord held this picture out till today, because here you go, guys. Get ready and listen closely. Listen very intently now. Joseph says, well, I sent you this other picture, and when I was at my office, there was a dry erase board, and 3 of the people at the office drew on this dry erase board, and there were 3 different people that actually drew on it. And look at the image it makes. Are you guys, okay, you guys in the chat room, I want you guys to look at the image of New York, enlarge it. And then after you enlarge it, I want you guys to decrease it. Listen, this is going to blow your mind. By the way, Joseph never noticed this, but it's going to blow his mind. He never noticed this. Joseph, wait till you see this one. It's going to toast your brain. Here you go. Okay, so someone drew an image of water, and they wrote Niagara Falls with a little arrow pointing to it. And then another guy drew the cityscape of New York and put a mirror reflection of New York in the water. And he wrote at the bottom New York. And then up by the wave it says, Pat Brown is on vacation till 6/17. And drew an arrow pointing towards New York. So there's 3 different people that drew that image. I want you to think about it. I want you to consider this. 3 different people drew this image. The image of the water puts in, look in your show notes. It's in your show notes. It is the second image on the top row of pictures. The second image on the top row, somebody drew a wave that it says Niagara Falls. So it's supposed to be Niagara Falls. But wait a minute. It's more than that. It's also a tidal wave going the opposite direction. Look at the arrow that comes down and points towards New York. Now, I want to show you guys what spiritual acuity is. I want you guys to see, I want to see if y'all can recognize. If you decrease the size of the image and you look at it in your show notes as just a thumbnail picture, tell me what that wave turns into facing New York. It looks like Godzilla. Greg, you got it. You got it. It looks like a dragon coming out of the water with a red horn. And I can tell you, because of the spiritual gifting I have, the spirit that drew that wave, or whoever put the blue on it, absolutely put an eye on it. And then the person that's supposed to be on the top on a raft was drawn in red, and it makes a horn on top of the head, like Leviathan, the creature from the sea. Leviathan is the serpent that's within all human beings, by the way. It's the serpent in the sea of humanity, just for the record. Greg, good one. You saw it. Yeah, the wave turns into a dragon like Godzilla facing New York, coming to destroy New York. Now, I want you guys to think about that. 3 different people drew that. That is a spirit that used 3 people to make that image. I don't care what anybody on planet Earth says. That is the hidden esoteric meaning done by 3 people that had no clue what they were doing. They had no idea what they were drawing, but a spirit drew it. That's what that. It's just like that. It's just like that ad for, Nat Geo Wild. Whoever did that promotional for the new Nat Geo Wild thing, they said it's the new generation, and right where they put the words "new generation," they put that little lemur turning its head completely upside down. That's a spirit, guys. That's a spirit that's running a race of beings as avatars. And that's what's going on. And you're seeing the outward manifestation, and that's what I see. That's what the Lord has gifted me in order to see what their plans are. Those who try to hide their plans from the Lord are doomed. They carry out their schemes in secret and think no one can see them or know what they are doing. They turn everything upside down. Well, in the play that Todd was at, the character said, evil is the new good. Then the guy says, couldn't have done it without you, Lady Liberty. And Lady Liberty winks her eye. Get it? Couldn't have done it without you. Because the destruction of New York is absolutely tantamount to the production of the new world order, which is Satan's rule on earth. Because chaos must ensue. There must be absolute horror and chaos for the new world order to take over. That's what their mantra is. Chaos, abo order, chaos. Chaos, abo order, whatever. Out of chaos, abo chaos, ordo. There you go. Abo chaos, ordo. Out of chaos, order. And so here it is in an office that Joseph Daniels was at. 3 different people drew that whiteboard, and on the whiteboard it shows it's a serpent-like creature. Let's agree on that. It's serpent-like, Godzilla-like, reptile-like, coming out of the water that's supposed to be Niagara Falls, but it's turning into a tidal wave, and it's heading right at New York that has an upside-down, right-side-up paradigm. So when I was praying, I was saying, hey, Lord, you know what? Would you please show me that New York's going to get, nuked in this tidal wave? Let's go back and look at the evidence. Did the Lord show me that? He showed me you're willing-hearted. The next word he showed me was atomic or thermonuclear attack. Then he showed me ground zero. Then I walk in the living room. Ralphie's standing in front of a Christmas tree, and he says it was ground zero because Christmas is coming. He wants to get his Red Ryder BB gun. At the same time, Todd is watching, some production of Marvel Comics with the cityscape of New York. That's after eating a New York pizza and going to a show on Broadway. And he walks in. There is a scene of the New York skyline. The head of the Statue of Liberty comes down from the ceiling, and they say, evil is the new good. And then this other guy, Spider-Man, says, I couldn't have done it without you, Lady Liberty. And then the Statue of Liberty winks her eye? What are you kidding? And then pyrotechnics go off. Guys, you don't have to even interpret that. That doesn't need interpretation. It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? If you know anything about this paradigm and the right side up, upside down thing, you don't have to interpret it. It speaks for itself. Well, I've got something else that speaks for itself. I went to a skateboard shop this weekend, the other day. I had to take Trinity's, he has a skateboard I took back. And when I walked into the shop, the manager was a super nice guy. I mean, he was really nice. He's the kind of guy that I could become friends with very quickly. Very personal, very nice. His name was Al, He was like totally willing to refund Trinity's skateboard, do whatever he could to make it right. He's just like really gracious. Very nice guy. We sat there and just kind of chatted for a while about skating. He was 41 years old, or 41 or 42. He looked like he was 30. He looked like a kid. I'm 52. Guy was 41. Anyway, so we're sitting there chatting, and I'm looking at the new skateboard stuff for kids. I want you guys to go look at your bottom row of pictures. I want you to look at that. There's 2 new hat brands out. I'm wearing one hat, and on the back, here, I'll turn it around for those people that are looking at Blog Talk or uBlog. Let's see. Can y'all see on my forehead what it says on this brand of hat? It says Neff, N-E-F-F. That's one of the brands of clothing for skate. I got it because it's really soft, and if you bought one, you got the other one at half price. It was a really awesome deal, and I like to keep my head warm. Trinity lost one of my favorite hats. I was kind of bummed. Anyway, I was just being a little narcissistic and bought myself a hat. Anyway, but it's really comfortable. I want you guys to look at the new clothing brand. Go down to your bottom row. You see the alien with its tongue sticking out? It says, "We out here," like we're out of here. You see the alien with its tongue sticking out on a hat that you wear on your forehead. I want you guys just to think about that for a second. By the way, if you refresh your show notes, you'll see the fireball that was the random image that when I said, "Are you ready for me to drop the bomb?" That's what was on my screen as a random image. It's always timing. But so I want you guys to think about this. I just want you guys try and process what I have to process. I mean, do you think you would freak out if you were me and this stuff happens all the time? Don't you think at a certain point you might just go, okay, I'm going to go off the deep end? It's like, there's only so much that a messenger can take. Okay, guys, I'm not kidding. It's like, ah! So, what do I have to say about this? I have to say, something's got to happen. You know, I share this stuff with Kat. Kat's in the chat room right now. I share this kind of stuff with Kat. And when I share it with Kat, Kat gets a headache sometimes, just right off the bat. You know, I love Kat to death, man. She's hilarious. I love hanging out with her and talking to her, and I share stuff with her, and I love listening to her freak out, you know. And a lot of times Kat gets just a headache as soon as I dump the info on her. I send her a couple images of what happens, and it's just crazy. But this happens constantly, guys. So I don't know any other message to tell anybody anymore except, guys, the night I got saved, I had an insatiable desire to go to New York. I had to get there. I was in the middle of my midlife crisis between Marina and Lou. I couldn't stand Marina, but I had kids with her. She was a total demonic psyop trying to usurp my life by having children, knowing that I had a soft heart and I wouldn't want the kids to, you know, be compromised. So I had a vested stake in the safety of the children. However, I could not deal with Marina on just a social level. And I was in love with Lou. I was in my midwife crisis. But I had an insatiable urge to get to New York, Manhattan. I did not know why. I know why now. I know why now. Because New York's the flashpoint. That's why New York is printed on the $10 bill. Why do you think the Lord gave me a prophetic utterance that says, "Behold, the hand of the oppressor has been lifted against you, and out of the sea shall come fire and smoke and a devouring wind. Water as high as the walls of Jerusalem will cover the city by the sea, and great shall be the destruction of that city." Well, look at the picture from Joseph Daniels' work. Wow, that's a tidal wave in the shape of a dragon getting ready to roll over New York. Well, you know what's even par for the course? Tonight, while I was getting ready for the show, if you look at your show notes, you'll see an image of Percy Jackson. And it says the lightning thief. You know, you'll see Percy Jackson, and there's water all around him, and there's New York in the background. Let me ask you guys, do you think this is weird? Todd was picking up dinner tonight for the kids, and out of nowhere, his daughter says that Percy Jackson is required reading for one of her classes. Now, do you think that's kind of weird on timing? And Todd has no idea who Percy Jackson is. So Todd's like, Percy who? And his daughter says, Percy Jackson, you know, the lightning thief. And Todd's like, Percy who? And so she can't believe that Todd doesn't know who Percy Jackson is. Well, look at the cover of the book. Does that look like a big wave in New York City again? I mean, I wonder what the odds are. You know what I mean? Do you guys ever consider, if you put all the odds together from this program back from last October, I mean a year ago October, if you put them all together and you add up all the synchronicities and all the timings and all the perfect, days where everything was either about peacocks or bells or, whatever it was about that day. Every day has a different venue. It all spells the same thing, but it all has a different flavor. It's like going to an ice cream shop. It's all ice cream. But every day you get a different flavor of ice cream, and at the end of the day, it's going to be ice cream. It's the same thing here. At the end of the day, it's always going to be Jesus is coming, be ready. That's always going to be the thing. However, it's going to come with a different flavor every day in a supernatural way because the Lord's showing you He's behind it. Why do you think Yvonne means yew tree, and it means child of fire? I mean, don't you think that's kind of weird? Why do you think New York means new yew tree? Why do you think God wanted me to go to Manhattan and He told me to put on all black and get in the car and go? Because it's going to take me to a place called This Is It. Get it? This is it. You wear black to a funeral, by the way. Do you see what I mean? It's inescapable. If you come to this program, you know that one thing is inescapable here. I will always be telling you Jesus is coming. Always. I will always be giving you a testimony, which is just a different flavor of ice cream for the day. But it should help you recognize that God is in control and that God is letting you know, I am coming. Don't turn away. I will supernaturally keep you guys focused on my coming. All you got to do is just keep believing. That's what you're required to do. Read your Bible. Stay up on what you're supposed to be doing. It's not that you're supposed to keep a bunch of rules, but how should you be living your life as you anticipate the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ? That's all there is to it. That's it. And one day, this has to end for me no matter what. No matter what. Something's got to happen. Either way you look at it, either nothing will happen and I'll be living on the street in a box with bad health, or everything the Lord told me is going to happen, and it will happen in the twinkling of an eye, and it will be over, and we will have marched it out till the end, just like it says in Revelation 3, because you have kept the patience of my word, and you have not denied my name, and you have kept my command to persevere. Because you have done this, I will keep you from the hour of testing, which shall come upon all those who dwell upon the earth. So I intend to keep marching forward no matter how far I have to march until it happens or something happens to where it shows me nothing's going to happen. But for right now, every single day for the past year, God has shown me supernaturally it's going to happen. So He's given me the strength and courage to keep going. Otherwise, I'd try and throw in the towel again. I told you I've tried 3 times, and He keeps helping me not fail. So you might want to go back and look at the last 2 weeks of show notes. Just look at the show notes. Just go look at them all. And they will tell their own story. I don't have to say a word. Just go look at all the show notes for the last 2 weeks. If you need to encourage yourself into believing that Jesus is coming, I just highly suggest you go look at all the show notes. Okay? Because you will believe. I guarantee it. You'll know. You'll go, oh my gosh, there's no way. So, be encouraged, flock, okay? The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Prince of Peace, coming. And here's the scripture he gave me for today. But when the set time had fully come, God sent his Son. Well, he came once, he's coming again. And when the time gets here, is when the time gets here. Born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Guys, I'll keep saying it until I don't have breath in my chest or until I'm living in a box on the street, and I'll still keep saying it. Jesus is coming. So keep the faith. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Don't pay attention to the world. Keep your eyes focused on Jesus. Don't listen to the scoffers. Don't get caught up in the affairs of the world. I believe if you were ever going to be on what I call extremely excited, edge of your seat, little kid excitement, Jesus is coming, watch now, start watching, be ready, just like Ralphie at Christmas, same thing. Wouldn't it be perfect for God to have you on the edge of your seat waiting for Jesus like little kids wait for Santa? Think about that. It's the same kind of anticipation. It's like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, oh yeah. You can hardly wait. Well, let's get back that feeling that we had when we were little kids, and let's wait for the real deal instead of some contrived Yule tree fat dude named Santa that was all just a lie. This is the real thing, guys. This is the real thing. So let's stay the course, huh? And keep going, because Jesus is coming and he will not leave you to be disappointed. I guarantee you it's going to work out your faith. Amen. All right, guys, I got like 8 minutes left. I'll take a couple calls. I don't think you can hear me. Billy, I'm trying to make your mic live, but I know you're singing. I don't want to be a voyeuristic, audio voyeur, but because, you may say something that we're not, I just don't think it's right. Anyway, so Billy, I'll try and pick up your phone one more time, and I'll give it like a 10-second delay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Billy.
He is the reason season.
Billy.
What's up, Johnny?
Yeah. Billy, I didn't want to.
Hey, what's going on, John?
Even though I know you play the guitar, I didn't know.
I was
sometimes.
transcribing a Striper's song. He's the reason for the season. It just came up to mind, and I got the words, and I was figuring out all the chords for it. But hey, hi to everybody out there in the in the chat room. What an interesting thing that the Lord keeps showing you every day, Johnny. It's just remarkable.
It's just bizarre, isn't it? It's just freaky.
I mean, you need a supercomputer to hold all the knowledge.
Really hard.
Down
you know what? It's hard to
into your
keep track.
brain.
I'm not kidding. It's really hard to keep track of. It's really weird. It's like very difficult to keep track of. Here's something that's really odd. This just happened just this moment. I had a random image pop up onto my screen, and it's Akhenaten, and it's another hieroglyph. But it's y'all remember the hieroglyph where the dragon is coming down out of the sun, and it's staring Nefertiti right in the face? It's really odd because it reminds me of the dragon that's hidden in the wave right now on that white. Did you see the show notes for tonight, Billy? Did you catch?
I wasn't really looking at the show notes tonight. I was just listening to everything. I did see the Yule tree. I got that.
Yeah, the Yule tree. That's yeah, and I'll tell you what, this thing that these people drew on this office board is so bizarre. It's so crazy. It's hard to believe 3 different people drew it. It's just unbelievable. And it literally makes a tidal wave that turns into a dragon heading right at New York City with a reflection of New York upside down in the water. It's just insane. It's just so bizarre. But yeah, if you get a chance, you should look at it.
I will. I get the show notes from Dave. I always click on them later if I don't get a chance to look at them and take a look at them. I stopped peeking ahead of time.
Yeah,
I used to always peek ahead of time.
Yeah,
take a look
like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like to
and
do
then
that.
I could never get a full revelation of what was going on
Right.
until I listened to the show.
Well, how's the family? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's great. I just finished my last test for my semester for online schooling, so I'm free for a while until after the new year.
That's awesome. Well, I hope. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said the fam's great. I have a family full of thespians. They're all actors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they've all been in plays lately. I'm like, hey, got a bunch of actors.
For those people with audio issues, that's thespian. Yes. I was like, what? Yeah, it's actors, guys.
I told my country friend that, and he like looked at me. I was laughing so hard.
That's kind of one of those. That's like telling someone you're a pugilist. You know, they're like, what? I'm a boxer.
Can't keep down your.
That's right. That's one of those 25-cent words. All right, Billy. Well, we love you, buddy. It's good to hear your voice.
We love you too, John.
Sorry, I didn't mean to listen in, and I'm glad that, I
was sitting here having fun. I was chatting with Kat earlier and just enjoying the radio show, brother. You're always a great show.
Right on.
God bless.
I love you. All right. Bye, Billy.
Bye.
Okay. Billy Lojak sending me a text. I love you too, Billy. Billy likes ice cream. Anyway. Okay, guys. Well, God bless you guys. It's 3:11. That's weird. Oh, 3:11. I looked up. It was 3 minutes and 11 seconds left, but we're running down on time, and I think it's time to get ready, folks. I just really do. It just seems like time. Good night. If we're here tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. Wherever it is you're going. Peace out.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is space to reduce the humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord, yeah. People
All right, everybody.
Child is gone.
For those of y'all who listen to that song, don't become comfortably numb, because that's what happens. You become comfortably numb, you fall into a state of sin, and you get drug away by the enemy. Don't fall for it. Okay, God bless you guys. Good night.